unconverted man here. Does Lance VanTine make sense? Short answer, no. Long answer, absolutely not. And also, aside from the fact that he doesn't make sense, he also has no good argument. See, because something doesn't have to make sense, or not make sense to make that thing true or false. Just because you don't understand something, that doesn't mean anything. This guy doesn't understand a lot of things. Get out your bingo cards here, because he pretty much hits every single thing that you could hope to hit within seconds. Oh yeah, I listened to this a little bit, so I'd be ready to pull up various things to pull up. The amounts of appeals to ignorance are amazing here. So, get ready for that. Time to complain about everything he says. Whee!
Does atheism make sense? The answer is...
Alright, so he asked the question. Does I don't believe in X make sense? Yes, I don't believe in X. That makes sense. Whatever X is, I don't believe in that, and that statement makes sense. Does there is no X make sense? Yes, depending on what X is. In this case, X is a variable. Or X is an illogical proposition. Does that make sense? Oh, well. Yeah. So, this is nothing but... This is nothing so far, but yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Say the next stupid thing.
That is no. It takes much more faith to believe that there is no God than to believe that there is a God. And we know...
Ah, yes, we've heard this one before. It takes more faith to do this than to do that. Oh, so having faith must be bad then. So we should try to have as little faith as possible. But believing in God still requires some amount of faith. Well, we want to purge ourselves from all the faith. So what position takes zero faith? Well, that would be a position that has ample evidence for it, and that you wouldn't need any faith to hold on to. Like, I don't know, being a skeptic, for example. I have zero faith at all in regards to any given proposition unless you can demonstrably demonstrate that position, at which point I don't need faith because I have the demonstrable demonstration of that thing in front of my face to examine and test and repeatedly test in various different ways. So my position takes less faith than your position, meaning that if we're going to go with faith is bad, then it's the best position to have zero faith, which would make you a skeptic, not a theist. Of course, it also is not true that it takes any faith to be an atheist whatsoever at all. So this is a QQ que. You as well. Oh, we have faith? Well, yeah, you have faith too. In fact, you have even more faith than we do.
From Romans 1:20 that God's invisible attributes and eternal power are clearly perceived so that no one is with excuse. No one...
Ah, yes, reading from your book that you've selected to read from does nothing to convince us that you're right. We don't believe in your book either. I might as well read what the lobsteress says to you. And in fact, one of them says it's true. So how could you possibly say it's not true when it says it's true? Well, there you go. Must be true then. Yeah, it's circular reasoning. And further, I asked, which you won't respond to. Maybe you'll probably mute me because people tend to do that. You know, who wrote Romans and when and where and who found it and by what method did they find it? I'm sure that he knows all about Romans, and it's interesting he only read part of it. I wonder if he knows what the rest of that passage says. Because it might actually discover, if you bother to read the whole thing, that it's not aimed at atheists. It's aimed at the theists that were there during that time, who supposedly had already seen some miracles. So it's not talking to us, it was talking to them. It's almost like he's cherry picking what the Bible says to support his bad argument. Oh, wait, no, that is what he's doing.
Can make an excuse and say, well, it wasn't obvious.
That's not an excuse. It's not only not obvious, but it's so not obvious that only 33% of the entire world thinks that your version of God is a thing. The rest doesn't. So something went wrong there. And all those people, even though they believe in a God, are also wrong because they believe in the wrong God.
It is incredible. Just think of how our hearts beat.
All right, so there you go. Appeal to ignorance number one. How our hearts beat. Well, okay, I get it. You don't understand how the heart works. Here you go. Here's how the heart works. Okay, the contraction of the arteria and ventricles make a heartbeat. When your heart beats, it makes a sound. Let's see. After your arteria pump blood into the ventricles, the valves between that and that close to prevent backflow, and then they pump away from the heart and make another sound. And it talks about the electrical activity. Electrical signals cause muscles to contract. Your heart has a special electrical system called the cardiac conductive system, which controls the rate and rhythm of your heartbeat. So a little electrical signal travels from the top to the bottom, and there you go. And it's all very interesting stuff here, but clearly that's that's difficult to understand. So yeah, oh man, I don't understand it. Therefore, God somehow, because appealing to ignorance is a thing that he's doing and gonna continue to do all throughout this video.
Think of how we all have different DNA.
Alright, I guess we need to learn about DNA now. Alright, well, here's the thing about DNA. I mean, here's stuff on DNA. Yeah, okay, there's DNA stuff. Okay. And, what's that got to do with anything again? Oh, okay. Nothing? Alright, we all have different fingertips, fingerprints. Oh, man. That must mean something. I'm not sure what, but, yeah, sure, okay.
Makeup. Think about how no one person looks the same.
No one person looks the same. Uh-oh, you said something wrong. Time to point it out. You know, there's a thing called identical twins. You might have heard of them. Yeah, they look the same. So you're wrong about that. Okay. Yes.
Think about how we can think on higher levels of mathematics and deep.
Alright, you mentioned higher level mathematics. I guess I have to pull up a thing about higher level mathematics now. Okay, well, you just think about how we can think about that. Yeah? And what does that matter? Why does that matter? Like, what does that, oh, we can think about math. So does that mean that people that can't think about math prove that there's no God? How does this work again?
Deeper conclusions of philosophical questions of where we came from, why we are here, and where we're going.
Where we came from? Other creatures? Uh, where we're going? Nowhere fast. Oh, it's so funny.
Think of how we are differentiated from all other creations. Think of
See, he said all of the creations, so he's assuming creations. Yeah, so that's nice. You're assuming there's creation in the first place, so that's more circular reasoning.
about how everything operates based upon a law. Trees do what trees are supposed to do. Plants
Look at the trees!
do what plants are supposed to do.
Plants do what plants are supposed to do. Brilliant.
Clouds, who understands how clouds just merely have different shapes and
Who has how clouds work and have different shapes? Well, here you go. That's how. Um, the shape of the cloud is determined by air temperature, density, and movement. Differences in temperature and density prevent water, light, and air from mixing with surrounding air gas, giving them distinct shape and creating crisp edges as air moves and pulls clouds into different formations. There you go. Wasn't that hard? It's like listening to Bill O'Reilly. While tide comes in and tide comes out, can't explain it. Yeah.
in the sky and are able to hold rain and then are eventually able to rain down and water crops. How in the world are there laws of nature by this? Is it by
Uh,
chance?
is it by chance? Maybe. But you don't seem to know. You don't seem to know anything. So you're just inserting your idea in there, in that gap. There's another fallacy there. Hint, hint. Ah, this is great. I love it.
Did it just randomly happen? We know Roger Penn.
Yeah, could have. Might be random, but there might be a filtering mechanism involved. I mean, I'm not sure what you're talking about specifically because you're being pretty vague. Are you talking about life or the universe itself? In either case, there does appear to be a filtering mechanism. See, they have these different elements. You know what those are, being that you're very well versed. No, you probably don't have any idea because you don't even know how heart beats or why clouds have different shapes to them. So your understanding of the world is pretty mediocre. Okay, so we have different elements that formed, and then those elements made stars, and those stars exploded and made more elements. And some of those elements fit together, and some of them don't. So when they do fit together, they fit together. And when they don't fit together, they don't fit together. And if they don't fit together, then they don't make anything. But when they do fit together, sometimes, but not always, they make something. And once they make a thing, that thing might connect to other things that it can connect to. And sometimes it does. And when it does, then those things can connect to other things that they can also connect to. And then stuff happens and things happen. And it's really complicated after a while. But eventually, the filtering mechanism is essentially that some things don't work, some things are incompatible. And those things that are incompatible, well, then they don't do anything. It's amazing. Like, you have certain things that will eventually produce chemicals that will create different chemicals, and some of those chemicals won't last that long. And so they'll dissipate. Some of the chemicals, they will last longer. And some, in certain combinations, will last long enough to do something special that will make them even more complicated than they were a moment ago. And that complexity gives rise eventually to what we call life. And then once you've got that, you've got a different filtering mechanism. Rather than just failure and success, you have the filtering mechanism of death, which I guess is also a failure mechanism of sorts. And so you'll have certain things that will live and certain things that won't live. Different various versions of chemical formations that will survive and different formations that won't. And so, yes, there's a filtering mechanism there. So when you just say chance, you're ignoring the reality that underpins it. But what else do we expect from this guy or any apologist at this point?
Penrose, who's an agnostic, has said that the chance of the universe coming into existence by low entropy is 1 to the 10 to the 10 to the 123rd power.
I don't care what he said. It doesn't matter. But this is just an appeal to probability. So whatever the odds of the universe coming into existence is just an appeal to probability, and it's one that's not. I don't even know how Penrose came up with that in the first place. But that doesn't make anything else more probable or possible, because you would now need to show the probability that your version of God is higher than any other version of God. So, you know, probability calculations are speculative and don't necessarily represent the likelihood of events. It's just a fallacy. That's all you're doing. On top of the argument from incredulity, which is all you've been doing. So yeah. Okay, keep going. Have you gotten bingo on your atheist card yet? I know I did.
That is 1 followed by 12,300
Yeah, I don't care.
zeros. That is
And how many gods are there? Like 1,000 plus that we know about? Maybe 10,000 gods out there at least. Plus all the gods that are gone, lost to history. So that's another, what, 20,000? So the odds that your god is correct is what? 1 in 10,000? I mean, yeah, sure, better odds, but still not very good.
astronomical. You have a
Oh yeah, well I'm mad at the odds of you even existing to watch this video now are insanely small. You survived. So it's one of these fun things. I've never actually gotten around to doing the math on it, but I'm sure that if somebody wanted to, and that somebody's probably not going to be me, you add up the average of deaths that occur to, say Americans, um, you know, let's say getting out of bed, like like well, you could slip and fall, so you do slip and fall. Like, what's the percentage of people that slip and fall and die? And then you go, okay, well, I went to the bathroom, so what's the percentage of people that die in the bathroom? You add that on top of that. Did you eat? Add in choking on top of that, like how many people choked to death, right? And then just keep adding on the different, and pretty soon the probability that you would even be alive is nothing after you've done all the stuff. So that doesn't mean anything, though.
greater chance of winning the lottery a million times in a row. You have a greater chance of firing off a bullet, a
Yeah,
gun,
yeah,
and
it's a
going
big
all the way
number. Yeah,
across the universe and hitting a bullseye.
that's not how
It's
bullets work.
absolutely astronomical. You have a greater chance of closing your eyes and saying where you want to be placed within our universe, reaching out your hand, and then grabbing a marble. You have a greater
What?
chance of that. So,
Eh?
atheism doesn't make sense. We know that the psalmist said that the fool says in his heart there is no God.
And if you bothered to read the rest of the verse, you would know who he was talking to and about. And guess what? Once again, it's not atheists. So I'm gonna ask again: who wrote that? Where? When? Who to? Who found it? How old is it? Why should we care? The lobsteress says stuff. Do you care about the lobsteress? Do I need to quote from that at you? It's just circular.
And there's a lot of reason it's not due to intellectual, because there are many apologetic arguments that reveal that God does exist. And any
No, the arguments don't reveal that. The arguments have one or more logical fallacies so far. I've examined many, many arguments. I can't claim to say all because maybe I missed one. But in your case, and this is the one I'm examining right now, we've had multiple fallacies: appeals to personal ignorance, personal incredulity, circular reasoning. Now you're doing poisoning of the well and ad hominem against atheists. You're doing broad generalizations, bald, outright bald statements, which is just a statement made without any backing proof. You multiple gods of the gaps. So you have many, many logical fallacies in your argument. So if you thought that there was a good, compelling argument to offer, you should have offered that, but you didn't. So just looking at what you got so far, your argument has so many fallacies that we have to reject the conclusion outright. The conclusion can't even be a thing anymore. That's how broken it is. Usually I'd say be skeptical of the conclusion. No. In this case, just forget it. The conclusion's incoherent because the rest of the thing he said is incoherent. But he keeps going. Man, who does he remind me of? Somebody famous? Fred Savage, maybe? I don't know. Should I? No, he doesn't look like Fred Savage. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways.
Anyone who seeks after truth and is willing to deny themselves, because it takes a humility to deny oneself.
No, actually, no, I stand corrected. It kind of does look like Fred Savage, all things considered. So yeah, I'm just gonna well, I mean, kind of, a little. Okay. It's worth doing. It's worth doing it just because, let's see. Okay, maybe it's not worth doing, but I'm doing it anyways. Fred Savage looks better though, and is probably smarter than this guy. I would think. He wouldn't make these bad arguments. So anyways, what am I doing here? All right, yeah, present. All right, put that on the thing. Put the thing. There's the thing. There's the thing. There we go. Yeah, there. Yeah, kinda. A little. I mean, there's some resemblance there. Alright, anyways, so it's just, alright. I'm right about that. That's all. It's a pattern seeking. Oh, by the way, Chat GPT, you've got all these fallacies, dude. So, yeah, your thing is broken. So I just wanted to point that out. Alright, back to, where did you go? There you go. Alright.
To say automatically that one doesn't believe in God, that
Oh,
there's
yeah, Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he looks like Shia. You know what? Maybe Fred Savage also looks, kind of looks like Shia LaBeouf, yeah.
Is proof, and that there's not enough proof for those who say that.
Well, no, there's just no proof. That's the problem. You don't have any proof at all. Otherwise, you would have provided the proof. And that would be the end of that. We'd all believe, we'd all agree because you'd have the proof. But you don't have proof, you just have a bad argument. That's all you have. So, until the day you actually present the proof, you got nothing. You have zero. Zip, zilch, nada. Not a thing to offer.
God could literally appear right before that person, and people would still not believe.
Well, I don't know about that. Because how do you know that that's the case? Like, what proof do you have that would be the case? And let's just see. Maybe it is. Let's just see that, though. Let's have God do that and see if people still are not sure. But here's the thing. There's multiple attacks on this. Okay, first of all, if it's just me and nobody else, then yes, I'm going to doubt it. Because I'm going to need other people to be able to see it as well and interact with it. So I'm gonna be like, look, let me get out my video camera, record you, make sure, that other people can see you. And here's the thing for you there, Lance. If it was a different god that wasn't your god, if it's Allah or Shiva the Destroyer, wouldn't you doubt that? You'd be like, oh, this is some test from the real god? Yeah, you probably would. So, your point here is just somewhat moot, but we haven't had that happen at all, so we can't. It's just a hypothetical. You don't know how people would respond to that. But I think we would be skeptical at first, and of course we should be, because if it wasn't your God that did it, and I don't know what it is, it's just something that's like, hi, I'm God. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Where did the bleep do you come from? It's just like, walking around telling people it's God, like, okay, that's interesting. Let's see what proof you have, and if it's not their version of God, they might not believe it, and even if it knows their mind, and it's like, oh, I could do this and that, and I know this, and it's like, yeah, but you're not the God that I believe in, so I'm just gonna think that you're a test from the actual real God, or, you're put here by Satan to mess with me, or whatever, And for me, I don't care. I'd be like, yeah, you're close enough, whatever, But God hasn't shown up to humans in that way. Otherwise, and if it had, and if it did, It could clarify the matter for all of us. It could be as obvious as the moon in the sky in a clear night when the moon is full, or the sun. But it's not. God isn't that thing because God isn't. Anyways, back to you making no sense and also being wrong.
How do we know this? Because even the Pharisees did not believe in Jesus Christ.
That's from the story. That's circular reasoning. The the people in your story also don't do the thing. Like, yeah, maybe they were right. Oh man, but also the Pharisees didn't actually get to see Jesus do any miracles, did they? Every time the Pharisees tried to trip up Jesus or whatever in the stories, like he would not perform for them. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Jesus um won't give the Pharisees any demonstrable demonstration of his powers, almost like he's some sort of scam artist or con artist that doesn't have any powers that he can show them directly. But they're made out to be the bad guys in the story, and we're not supposed to like them. Um, but yeah, they don't believe because he didn't ever demonstrate his abilities to them, or tell them, hey, look, I did this thing. I've got these people that can verify that I did that thing, and that's from this part of the Bible said I was going to do that. See? See the prophecy there? That's me. This is me doing this. You know? But he didn't do that either. He'd just say some whatever, or he'd like escape from them or run away or whatever. So I'm thoroughly unimpressed by your circular reasoning.
When Jesus Christ performed miracles right in front of them.
Which he didn't do. Wait a minute. Now you're just making up shit. Like, when did he do that? Did I don't think he did. Let's see. Okay. Uh, okay, so yeah, I was wrong. Okay, the Pharisees did see Jesus do like one thing. Of course, we don't know which Pharisees. Like, there's a lot of Pharisees, so um, so they're written like they fully believe he heals someone, but then they use that as evidence that he's disregarding the Sabbath. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. But they believed that he did it, but just interpreted that the true savior wouldn't break the rules or whatever. Okay. Well, hey, look, I can be wrong. Unlike this guy, I'll admit it. But he won't. But yeah, I thought for sure that Jesus didn't perform any miracles for the first. Yeah, well, yeah, I've forgotten more about the Bible than I used to remember. Captive disc. Okay.
No, their stubbornness and hardness of heart decided to neglect the proof and evidence. So they're
No, they believed he could do the miracles. They just didn't think that the Messiah would break the. They didn't think that somebody would break the rules that God had set. And he didn't bother to like explain to them, look, I'm God, guys. I set the rules and I get to break the rules. Like, you guys are all like concerned with the laws, and I'm concerned with helping the person. And besides, it's not that much effort for me to heal someone. It's not really work for me to heal somebody. Look, boom, healed, see? It wasn't like hard. That's interesting though. Jesus has to touch people to heal them and stuff. Like, why? Like, couldn't he just like why did he have to do anything for the person to be healed? I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, uh yeah.
are people who will never believe. There's never enough proof and evidence because they don't.
Well, you don't have proof or evidence. You're talking about people back then, which is different about then. Now they at least had the miracles to examine. I don't even have that to look at. I'd test that and see how it works to try to figure it out, but I don't have anything like that today.
Want to worship God. They want to be their own God.
No, but but yeah, that's you. That's just your projection. Yeah, special knowledge, right? Mind reading fallacy, exactly. Which isn't a fallacy yet, but it should be.
They are worshippers of self rather than desiring to be selfless. Even with
No, I don't worship myself, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm selfless per se, but I think about others. So this is just more poisoning of the well and thinking that you know what I think and feel, which I don't. Which you don't. No, you don't know that. You don't know the sort of person I am. So screw you, Shia LaBeouf wannabe. Yeah, how's that? Also, your argument sucks.
within their selflessness, they aren't willing to give up the very thing that sent Christ to the cross.
What? They aren't willing to give up the very thing that sent Jesus to the cross. Roman law? The Jewish people's law? What was it that sent Jesus to the cross? People? They're not willing to give up people? Or what, is it sin? Like, is sin what sent Jesus to the cross? Isn't the Father what sent Jesus to? What is exactly? What do you mean here?
They don't want to give up their sin.
Oh, okay. All right, all right. I don't believe in sin, so there's not a thing that I want to or don't want to give up. Since I don't believe that sin is a thing, and even if it would be the case that I do or don't want to give up on X, that doesn't mean anything. I could still accept that your idea was true if I had evidence of it. And all I'd have to do is just go, yeah, well, whatever, okay, God exists. Guess I'll keep on sinning anyways. Who the hell cares? In fact, the best way to do that was just believe that in the certain things I have to believe in, and just ask for forgiveness. Then I can sin anyways. What's the difference? Why couldn't I keep sinning and then just ask for forgiveness later? Like, why can't I do that? Oh, right. There's nothing to prevent me from doing that in your system, is there? Oh, right. Yeah, well, but these are theological questions that you don't think about or won't answer anyways, even if you did think about them. See, I can mind read too. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, if I wanted to sin, I'd become an sin so I can be forgiven. Right. What do you mean by sin? Like, like, what sin do you think I'm doing? Like, besides the general sin of not believing in God, because that's a sin too. Everything's a sin, though, isn't it? There's 613 laws that all create the sin that you do, and if you follow those laws, then you're sinless, according to the Jewish people, at any rate. So, yeah. Sadly, though, a lot of those laws you can't follow anymore, so that's a problem. And then a couple of those laws I couldn't follow because they require you to believe in God. Well, not necessarily, because, like, have no gods before me. I guess technically, since I have no gods at all, I suppose I'm technically following that law. I don't know. I'd have to ask a rabbi. Anyways, back to you making no sense and being wrong.
They're too prideful. They're too arrogant. Not
Oh,
all.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have friends who are atheists. Wonderful people.
You can't have it both ways, man. Either we're assholes or we're not. Pick a side, man. Yeah, I have one. Oh yeah, yeah. All them dark-skinned people. Ah, sure, sure. Those ones are criminals. But not all. I have some dark-skinned friends. Yeah, sure you do. No, you don't. You don't. You don't. You don't. You're not. You're just. Oh, but some of them are good. But the ones I want to poison the well against, those ones are terrible and awful and vile. Yeah, yeah, that will teach them. But not all, not all. But it doesn't matter how good you are or bad you are, right? Because you're committing the sin and yeah, or whatever. You stupid idiot. I don't know.
But at the end of the day, uh, a lot
Uh,
of
uh,
atheists and whatnot, they don't agree that there's such thing as truth.
Who didn't agree with that? What the hell are you talking about? No, yeah, there's truth. Truth equals whatever's real. So I agree that there's a thing called truth. There's a word, and we use it to describe reality. Whatever is true is what I think is true. And then also there's the whatever is true is whatever is real. Like there's a couple different ways to look at that word. Like I say I'm a human, that's true, at least in part, because I'm also, some lobster is in me, but whatever. Uh, yeah, I'm part lobster. Can't prove wrong. Um, but I don't, I might say, I have 15,000 molecules in my finger, and I don't know how many molecules are in there. And if I said that, if I believed that was true, then I'd be making a statement that I think is true, but it'd be wrong in reality, so it wouldn't actually be true. So, yeah. But I try to not say stuff that I don't know anything about or don't know if it's true or not. Like, I'm sure I've screwed up at some point and said something that I thought was true that I had no proof about or whatever, because it's bound to happen. But yeah, I mean, this just doesn't match me individually. So I don't know who the hell you're talking about, but it's not me anymore. And by the way, I thought you were trying to make it so that we didn't make sense. All you're doing is you aren't making sense. And also you're wrong because of the multiple logical fallacies. But,
They believe in truths. They operate based upon truth. I am a male. 2 plus 2 is 4. Until it gets to morality and religious truths. Then
well, morality is real. It's based upon ethical systems. Religious truths, which religion are you talking about? What truths are you speaking of? How have you determined that they're true? Which religions are you speaking about? Zoroastrianism? Is Zoroastrianism true? There's elements of things in it that might be true, but that doesn't mean the whole is true. I can doubt the parts that aren't evidentially verifiable and not accept those as being true or false, and say, oh, that's an interesting little religion you got there, but can you demonstrate that it's real? Can you show me that it's true? Don't just say that it's true. Don't insult me by saying that my thing doesn't make sense. Demonstrate that you have evidence, that you have some tests that can be run. But you won't do that, and you can't do that. We know that. So, anyways, back to you being wrong.
they think, no, there's no such thing. Not all of them, but some of them.
Some of them. Oh, okay, not all, but some. Based on what metric? Nah, just whoever. Whoever you feel like throwing under the bus so you can poison the well. Well, not all Christians are dumb. Just some. Like you. Actually, you are dumb. No, the other ones, they're smart, but not you. You're dumb. Yeah, I can do it too. I can insult, sure, but I'll be direct. Actually, that's not much of an insult. Because believe me, if I was to insult this guy, he would know. He would feel it in his bones, and everyone that he loves and respects and cares about would know that he had been insulted, because so deep and vicious my insult would be that it would destroy him at a molecular level. Anyways, that part was brought to you by the devil. Back to him being nonsensical and being bad argument of.
And so atheism does not make sense.
To
Because you have
you.
to explain, how in the world did you even get your personality?
How in the world did I get my personality? What does that have to do with atheism? What? How? Did? What? Huh? I have to explain how I got my personality. And okay, if I do that, does that mean that atheism's true? Like, how does this work exactly? What? How? What? That? Did? Uh, I. Uh. What? How I got my person? How I got my? That broke my brain! Okay, back to him not making any sense and being wrong.
If you believe in evolution, do personalities evolve from evolution? How did that happen?
Oh god, he's one of these non-agreeing with science idiots, isn't he? I don't believe in evolution. I know that evolution is factual. I don't need any beliefs regarding it. But clearly you don't understand how it works, so then you're asking these incoherent questions. Does personality come from evolution? No, that's not where personality comes from. You are insert insult here, I guess. Uh, no, just no. I could show you where personality comes from if you want. It would be a simple Google search, but I don't know that that would help you. Let's see. Personalities are based on subjective experiences and individuals' interactions with their environment. The humanistic theory of personality eventually led to Malola's famous hierarchy of needs model, suggests that people's basic needs are met. They're replaced with ones that are increasingly complex. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. There you go. That was a simple Google search. Oh man, that was easy. Yeah, that's right. The Bible doesn't give Satan's side of the story. And if you want Satan's side of the story, well, then I've got good news for you. You can get my book, Lightbringer. Yes, Lightbringer by me. I wasn't ready for that. So I don't have the thing ready to go. SPAIR. Okay, there it is. Alright. Hold on. Oh man, laughing at so many stupidity things. Okay, and if you want Satan's side of the story, good news! You can get Satan's side of the story by Lightbringer by Dan Green. The Lightbringer. It's the real story of what really happened. Available on Amazon. Get it now, and then review it, and then interview me about the book. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Nobody should do that. Only a crazed, demented fool would interview me about my book. No, not that. No, the other book is fine, but that one, that would be crazy because the Lightbringer's like fiction. The other book would make sense to interview me about, and whoever would have done that is an amazing, awesome, and epic person. But a demented, insane person would interview me about the Lightbringer. So, if you want to do that, let me know. Because then we could. Anyways.
What happened? How in the world did the universe begin out of nothing?
It didn't. It didn't begin out of nothing, and that question of incoherent is the. So yeah. Again, how does this work? I don't know, therefore God did it, I guess.
Nothing created everything?
Maybe.
No. It had to be a timeless immaterial.
It had to be. Yeah, okay. If timeless means there's no when for it to act. Do you understand what timeless means? This is so frustrating. Okay. Before, during, after. Okay? A. Then B. If God is timeless, that means there is no next step. There's A, forever. There's never a B. There's never anything else because it's not moving forward in time. So God can't think if it's timeless. God would have to exist in a realm where time exists. It could be its own separate realm, but it would have to have time in it for God to be able to do anything at all. And no space equals nowhere because space is a description of dimensions that we exist in. Up, down, left, right, in, out, A, B, start, select, pause, whatever. If there's no space, there's no where for God to exist. Drop these incoherent notions, apologists. All you're doing is defining your God out of existence. That's my job, darn it.
Omnipotent, sovereign, loving, personal God.
And that's a
And we
lot
know
of.
that to be the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
You don't know that, you believe that.
And we can believe, when we believe Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior, and we repent of our sins, we can truly come to understand who God is and experience Him.
How do you know that you can't truly come to understand God via other methodologies? Have you tried other methodologies? What if other methodologies are more successful than yours? What if other methodologies provide a deeper understanding of what or who God is or how it works in the first place? Or what if we can't come to any understanding of God yet? Perhaps we're not at the evolutionary cusp that we need to be. Perhaps we're not mature enough or humble enough or something enough. Maybe God doesn't believe in us. Let's consider that for a moment. What would that mean? And if we want God's love, we have to earn it. And if we did earn God's love, then we realize we don't need it. Because at that point, we'd be so amazing that God's love would be inconsequential. And I'm borrowing some of those ideas from Bo Berman's song, From the Perspective of God. A couple of those ideas came from that song, just to give credit where credit's due. But, this is more baseless, bald assertions that you're making. None of your statements have led to this point. Your cumulative case doesn't even exist, but you're tacking this on because you feel obliged to do so. But it just seems rather wimpy. I'm unimpressed by it. Rather, I'm repulsed by it. So if your effort was to win me to Jesus, you've actually turned me off 100% more than I already was, whatever that degree was, because your argument sucks so badly. So now I'm going to have to find somebody else that has a better argument than you that might maybe pull me back a little bit towards, hey, maybe Jesus isn't that bad of an idea, but that certainly isn't your argumentation. Learn logic and read a book other than the Bible. Actually, I don't even think you've read the Bible. I'm complaining. Wait, no, don't go back to the video. I'm not done complaining.
Those who walk away from the faith, many times they never were in the faith to begin with.
Oh, fuck you.
There are.
Nah, I'm done with this idiot. That's it. You're done. No, I refuse. No, screw him. No, screw him. I don't want to hear anymore. You don't get to do that. You're an asshole. Bye. Alright, anyways, so this guy's, he's a lost cause. Fuck him. He doesn't have any argument, and, I don't like him. And, I hope a giant ant, eats him, and I don't know, has eggs in his brain or some, I don't know, some terrible horrible thing. I don't know. I hope that Shia LaBeouf sues him for copyright infringement of his face. That's what I hope happens. Okay, Shia LaBeouf, if you're out there, I know you're watching right now. Shia LaBeouf, sue this guy. He stole your look. So just sue him and screw you. And look at that. Look. Look. It's the same guy. Look at it. I'm right. Look. I'm right. It is. Look at it. Look. See, look. Look at my screen. I'm right. Anyways, I hate that whole, oh, you were never saved bullshit. Yeah, screw you. Yeah, anyways, that's all for today. This guy checked every single mark you can check. Nothing but appeals to personal ignorance, appeals to personal incredulity, circular reasoning, God of the gaps, reading from the Bible, cherry picking from the Bible without actually knowing what the bleep the Bible says in the verses that he's reading from. The same verses that we've heard a zillion times. Oh, I'm going to read from the Psalms where it says, those that don't believe in God are fools, but it's not talking to us. If you read the whole thing, you know that. I'm going to read about the Romans, the invisible attributes, yeah, it's also talking about us, talking to people that already saw God. This guy's just, I don't know. I don't know. Why do I bother? I don't know. Anyways, so I've lost some subs lately. I don't know why. I guess I had some theist subs maybe, and they ran away because I irritated them or something. I'm not sure, but if you have a problem with anything I say, let me know so I can do something about it. Don't just leave. Let me know. Say, hey, Deacon Verban, you suck. I'm like, all right, cool. What about? What do I suck? Show me an argument. Give me a valid and sound argument. And if you cannot or will not, then demonstrate it with empirical evidence or repeatable tests. And if you will not do that, then we truly have nothing to go upon, and we should be skeptical of your conclusion. That's it. That's it. Thanks for watching. Shia LaBeouf. Meow.